Okay, let's talk about therapeutic relationship. I might have to break this lecture down into a couple of 15-minute chunks, but we'll get as far as we can. This is a huge topic. I'm drawing out of Chapter 2 from your textbook, and I would encourage you to review Chapter 2. It's extremely important, and this is a big part of your NBLEX exam. So let's jump into it. First of all, in a therapeutic relationship, we're basically talking about an agreement to act in the client's best interest. We as massage therapists are definitely held accountable for our actions. In other words, if you behave irresponsibly, there may be legal consequences such as malpractice suits, licensing violations, or even criminal charges. So when I say irresponsibly, I'm talking about several things. I'm talking about fiscal irresponsibility. I'm talking about behavioral irresponsibility, being flirtatious with a client that you may feel attracted to, or that sort of thing. But I'm also talking about not understanding your client's physical condition, adjustments that you should be making on their behalf because of medication that they've been prescribed or because of common problems associated with their medical condition. For example, an easy one would be diabetes and the possibility of a diabetic neuropathy or inability to feel accurately in their extremities. And so if you applied focal pressure or excessive pressure in their extremities, you could cause tissue damage, and they may not tell you that it hurts because they have the potential for nerve damage. So it's important that we pay attention, that we communicate clearly, and that we respect the trust that our clients are giving to us when they come to us. In addition, the quality of your relationship with your client is based on your personal ethical behavior. It's also greatly influenced by your interpersonal skills, and that means your ability to communicate and to understand your client's roles and your roles, and to make sure that you all are on the same page. This includes your client's goals for the session. Like, you may want to really work out a particular scar tissue or a knot or something that may be limiting range of motion, but maybe your client's goals for the session was just relaxation. So your respect for their requests and clear communication with them will determine whether or not you meet those goals. Adaptations and adjustments for medical concerns, let's say the opposite is true. Let's say that they want a serious beat down. They want to feel like they're really getting their money's worth, and they keep saying more pressure, more pressure. But you understand that because they have a recent diagnosis of osteoporosis, that you can't use excessive pressure. And so you need to make adjustments for their medical concern and help them to adjust their goals for the session. So communication is paramount. The therapeutic relationship also depends upon your ability to gather client information, apply the information to your knowledge of health and illness, and then formulate a condition-appropriate client-centered session. So you won't be doing this until about Massage 2, and certainly you'll have mastered it by Massage 3. Hopefully by the time you begin your internship, you will feel comfortable saying, yes, I'm comfortable doing that, or no, I'm not comfortable doing that, or maybe we can make another adjustment and still accomplish what you hope to accomplish for your massage. The relationship is dependent upon your ability to work with empathy and respect, and is founded on trust. It's important to understand that they are trusting you. And oftentimes our clients will not speak up about concerns that they have because, and this is almost a direct quote that I have heard repeatedly over and over again, because you are the professional. When I ask a client who's complaining to me about another therapist, did you express that to the therapist? Oftentimes they say, no, because the therapist is the professional and I figured they know what they're doing. So it's important to understand that they are offering a profound amount of trust to you when they come to you, even just to receive a massage. And because of that, professionalism is also a huge part of this therapeutic relationship. Professionalism is adhering to a set of values and obligations. It's a formally agreed upon code of conduct. And it's and the reasonable expectations of the client, your colleagues, and your coworkers. This includes things like acting on the client's best interest and putting their interest before your own. It includes maintaining standards that are expected of all members of our profession, staying current with changes and discoveries in the field. It includes confidentiality, both written and verbal. You can't chat about what your clients have said or their health conditions or etc. Integrity, decency, accountability, responsibility, and honor. It involves psychosocial and humanistic qualities such as caring, empathy, humility, compassion, and social responsibility and sensitivity to culture and beliefs. So you can see this is, when we take the word professionalism, we're so accustomed to that word, but when we start taking it apart and looking at how deep it goes and how broad the topic is, professionalism involves everything from your front office, your scheduling, your website, your communication with the person, your application of the massage. It's your ability to make the person feel at ease. It's important to note that in every therapeutic relationship, there is a power differential, which is an increase in the amount of power that exists for the position of authority. I want to take a minute and I want you to really think about the power differential in massage therapy. It is beyond the fact that the therapist has knowledge and skills that are needed by the client, but the client, just the fact that the therapist has knowledge that the client does not, makes the client more vulnerable to the therapist. But add in that our clients are disrobing and getting onto a table and allowing a virtual stranger to work on them. And the therapist is standing up, they're clothed, the client is lying down, and they're disrobed, covered, but disrobed all the same. It's a profound vulnerability, and it would be amoral, truly, to take advantage of a client who is in that position. The power differential in therapeutic relationships, the imbalance of power occurs naturally. And in and of itself, it really is not a problem, but it does become a problem when the power is used to serve our own personal interests instead of the client's best interests. And so I'll give you one example. Let's say you're trying to increase your paycheck by selling a product to the client. I would never recommend that you do this when this power differential is in play, when this person is lying down on your table. You want to sell product to them, that's fine. Wait until they are dressed and they're standing in front of you and you are eye to eye. So we need to not be looking out for our own best interest, but looking out for the best interest of our client. Let's talk for a minute about boundaries. This is a term that most of us are familiar with. It's a common psychological term. Boundaries help us to clarify our individual responsibilities, and it helps to define expectations for our client as well as for ourselves. These are guidelines or rules that limit the relationship, and we create these. And we create them with the purpose of determining a reasonable, safe, and acceptable way to interact with other people. It's up to you to set a great deal of your own personal boundaries. There are multiple types of boundaries, like physical boundaries. Certainly the drape is a physical boundary. I've already explained to you all, wherever you move that drape, that's it. That's your line. Your hand will not ever go under that drape. That's a hard physical boundary. But how about allowing the client to disrobe to their level of comfort? If they leave a great deal of their clothing on, that's okay. They are creating a physical boundary. They haven't completely given their trust to you, and that's all right. How about how deep the work is applied? That's a physical boundary. If somebody says, please don't work out knots, I don't want to be bruised next week or tomorrow, that's a physical boundary. Boundaries can be intellectual, which would be not imposing my opinions or objecting to their political opinions, religious opinions, spiritual beliefs. Honestly, that type of conversation doesn't really belong in the therapeutic environment. However, I'm not going to say it's uncommon. Some people create comfort by chatting. And while it's not ideal, you may hear things that personally offend you. You have to maintain a firm boundary and maintain your professionalism and not engage. You need to respect that they have a right to their own views. Emotional boundaries. Oftentimes, I won't say often, occasionally, because of the level of trust the client offers, they may share their emotions with you, or perhaps have an emotional release. They may begin crying during the massage. You need to maintain a proper boundary and not try and encroach upon that, not ask them, oh, tell me what's wrong, and try and play the role of counselor. That is out of your scope of practice. Allow them, respect that they're having an emotional experience, and allow them to have it. You certainly should not be sharing your emotions. I don't care if you're having a bad day with your coworkers or if your spouse is leaving you. Your client should not ever have any idea that you're dealing with something emotional. Time boundaries. You know, we often think about, as a professional, we want our clients to respect our time and arrive on time and leave on time. But for me, it helps if I think of it as respecting their time boundaries. In other words, just because I'm eager to resolve their complaint, I can't keep them on the table half an hour longer, even free of charge, because it is disrespecting their time, their schedule, and other commitments they may have. What about spending time not focusing on their treatment goals? They tell you they have low back pain, and you spend extra time on their head, neck, and shoulders. That's violating a time boundary. How about being ready when the client arrives? That would be respecting their time boundary. Location, where are services provided? You can't just walk around massaging people at parties and, you know, pop out a massage table anywhere. It needs to be in a professional environment. There should be location boundaries. There should be financial boundaries. Stating your fees clearly. If, you know, they say that they want an add-on of aromatherapy, if you're going to charge for that aromatherapy, you need to make that clear. So not adding treatments without expressing additional charges. How about how you handle the payment? In other words, boundaries are an integral part of the therapeutic relationship, and it's important that you are clear and are expressive about what your boundaries are so that everyone knows what they can expect. Self-disclosure. When you talk too much, or if you talk about topics that are inappropriate, that can be confusing to your clients, especially if it doesn't relate to anything that the client is currently dealing with. It would be common for your clients to self-disclose, and you need to, if you're uncomfortable with it, you need to find a comfortable way to change the topic or let them know that their conversation is inappropriate. And certainly your self-disclosure should be very minimal, respectful, but very minimal. Your clients really should not know your political views or even who your favorite football team is. And then confidentiality. And again, I said this is verbal as well as documents. Don't chat about your clients. Don't tell people so-and-so is my client. Your records certainly need to be kept in a confidential cabinet, locked. So on the flip side of that, there are limits to confidentiality. And so it would be important to note that as massage therapists, you are a mandatory reporter. So if someone is on your table and they are confessing to something that is illegal or abuse, either not your opinion of abuse, but legally abuse, then you are in fact a mandatory reporter, and you are required to hand over your documents or to reveal the information, including how officials can locate this person, contact them, their address, their phone number, etc. Okay, I'm going to clip this here and post it and add another video in a moment.